Welcome back, Weasel Movers, and just quickly before I start this video, I would like to warn you in advance that I like to go very in-depth talking about the strategy stuff when it comes to this kind of thing, so if you just wanted to come here to see some games, then skip to this time code to skip past me talking about the strategy, why I'm using certain towers, why I think they have a lot of potential, and also going over the differences between the different hero skins. Anyway, hope you enjoy the video. Welcome back, Weasel Mooboost, to the channel Double Doge, where today I'll be playing Battles 2 again. Wasn't sure if I was going to be doing this, but I do have a strategy I really want to show off. The whole problem was trying to make a strategy that's original that's actually going to work, and it took a bit, but I think I've got there. So, the Ice Tower. Not a very popular tower at the moment, but I have hope for it. Thingy. In fact, Super John Bombo's community ranked it as one of the 3 worst towers in the game. I think that is... well, I can't blame them for ranking it the worst tower in the game, but I do think they're wrong. The problem with Ice is that the upgrades that make Ice good are Embrittlement, Super Brittle, Snowstorm, Absolute Zero, and Icicle Impale. You might notice that those are all 4th or 5th tiers. Ice Shard is also pretty good, Arctic Wind is also pretty good, Refreeze is also pretty good, but they're not really anywhere near as good as these 5. So I completely understand why people are struggling to give Ice a chance, because you would have to stick with all its awful upgrades at first, having Refreeze is your only half-decent upgrade. And my god, it has been so rough getting XP for Ice. But now that I have Embrittlement and Arctic Wind, I'm starting to do quite well with Ice. Now, why would I put all my, invest all this time into trying to level up Ice? Well, I mentioned it before that these 5 upgrades are the ones that are going to be really good, so I think this tower's going to get a lot better than I'm already doing with it once I can get these. But, basically, let's go through these one by one. So, Embrittlement gives you the ability to, first of all, allows the Ice Tower to detect camo. Second of all, makes it so that balloons that get frozen from the Ice Tower also get de-camoed and de-regrowed. But most importantly, balloons that get frozen by the Ice Tower, including Moabs, will then take +1 damage from everything, which is actually really powerful. I mean, essentially, if you do that with a Super Monkey, that's double damage on it. If you do that with a Tack Shooter or a Tack Zone, again, double damage on it. That is quite significant. That's like having 2 Tack Zones if you manage to get a Tack Zone down. Now, it gets even crazier when you get Super Brittle, which obviously even more increases that bonus damage, gives you a larger range, and makes the freeze deal damage to Moabs on impact. I think it already does that with Embrittlement. I think it deals 1 damage to the Moabs when it freezes them, but with Super Brittle it deals 25, which is obviously a lot more. Super Brittle is one of the best ways to whittle down bad health in BTD 6. I in fact did have a challenge all based around this, where it seemed that it was basically impossible. It only gave you so much money, and it was quite a lot, but not as much as you'd expect to take down a fortified bad, and it had a crazy amount of health, and it just seemed like the challenge was impossible. Even if you got the most high damaging towers possible, it wouldn't work, and the solution was Super Brittle Tack Zone with primary training to give the Tax extra pierce. And I think there was something to do with glue in there too. Oh, I think it was Glue Storm as well to give another +1 damage to every tack. And all those things combined would be the only thing that could get you anywhere near enough DPS to crack the bad open. So yes, if you get in games often where you both go to round 30 and then the winner just becomes whoever sends a bad first, Super Brittle could really help there. Super Brittle would allow you to kill bads for quite a while as long as you have a loadout that's, built around being able to deal lots of little hits. That could be some of the best bad DPS in the game if you could unlock it. It's just, again, really difficult to get to that point. Thingy, Middle Path, Snowstorm, and Absolute Zero are both going to be really useful abilities. It may be a few thousand, so it's not exactly cost effective, but Snowstorm will not only give your Ice Tower loads of range, and since you've already bought Arctic Wind, every balloon in that range gets slowed, but gives you the ability to instantly freeze anything on screen whenever you want. It won't freeze mobs for long, but it does freeze them for a split second. And, you'd think, oh, well, it doesn't matter then, but it does. I have played with this tower in Chimps, and even just Snowstorm has actually been useful for stalling Moabs, even if it only does it for a split second, because if you can time that split second so that when that split second it's stuck in place is when it's right at the choke point that you want it to be. That can often be the difference maker, and of course it becomes all the more significant once you get absolute zero, and it can actually freeze mobs for a substantial amount of time instead of just for a few seconds. And finally, the main reason I'm excited for this, Icicle Impale. I almost wanted to go straight for Icicle Impale and just ignore all the other upgrades, but that's just not feasible because Cryo Cannon and Icicles aren't... Well, actually, they're kind of good upgrades in BTD 6, but I have a feeling they're not going to be very good in battles. And so I feel like it'd be really rough if I just tried to get there using Icicles. I think I need to just get to the point where I have good upgrades on other paths before I can get enough XP to buy this, especially since it's the most expensive 5th tier. But Icicle Impale is the most expensive 5th tier for a reason. I already think it's underrated in BTD 6. It is my #1 go-to for DDT defense. It will slow down every single mob it shoots to a set speed where it can barely move, and that applies to even DDTs. So DDTs will be moving at the same speed as, like, you know, Zongs. While dealing splash damage to them that can hit multiple targets. And the only downside of this tower is it doesn't detect camo by default. You do either have to decamo the DDTs or you do have to get a camo village. But that is all you need, and then this tower will destroy everything it touches, except bads. But again, if you need bad defense, there's Super Brittle. So yeah, I think that Ice Monkey has some massive potential with these upgrades. Not to mention, I imagine most of you know this by now, but just for those who don't, Refreeze is a good upgrade. In fact, if it weren't for the existence of white balloons and zebra balloons, it would be one of the most broken upgrades in the game. Refreeze allows you to refreeze balloons. Now, I don't know if you already knew this, you probably did, but from BTD 5 to BTD 6, Snap Freeze, the upgrade that made it so that freezing pops balloons, was removed, and they just made it so that happens anyway with the Ice Monkey when you buy it, like, to start. Which I think was a good idea. But the fact that you can refreeze balloons, and you pop them when you freeze them, means that any balloon you freeze with Ice Monkey is dead the moment it's frozen. As long as it's, you know, not a Mortar, because it can't freeze that. Like, if an Ice Monkey freezes a ceramic, that ceramic is then frozen. And even if you don't even have enhanced freeze to increase the attack speed, the refreeze happens again before the ceramic can even move. It's still frozen by the time it gets frozen again. And that means you just have an infinite damage stun lock until the ceramic is dead. And you may be like, wait, that sounds way too overpowered. Why isn't Ice Monkey like the #1 go-to for all ceramic defense then? And the reason is, as I said, white and zebras. Because ceramics, rainbows, they all have zebras inside them, which all have whites inside them. So, yes, this does become an infinite damage stun lock of stupidly powerful proportions if you get an MIB village to give it white freezing, but you can see why that hasn't really taken off, because an MIB village is like a good 10,000 cash. It's a lot of money to invest in, and then it kind of makes sense that you're spending 10,000 abouts on being able to infinitely damage stun lock only non-Moab balloons. It's like, yeah, it seems a lot more balanced then. But, all that being said, white balloons are your only issue. So if you can get a tower that can reliably pop all whites and then just get the pinks frozen inside the refreeze, then you're good. You'll be fine. So refreeze is a really powerful upgrade. Arctic Wind has always been one of my favourites since BTD 4. This upgrade, I feel like I don't see people use it much. I don't know whether to say it's underrated or not, because I just don't see people talk about it much. I can certainly see why it isn't used much. It's in theory ridiculously powerful, but the problem is it's kind of more of what you already have. It's making you extremely reliably able to take down hordes of balloons, as long as they're not whites or, you know, Moabs. So, you know, I can kind of get why I don't see Arctic Wind as much, even though it's extremely powerful and extremely reliable. Its weaknesses are very significant ones. Ice Shards, though, I've got to say, I did not believe in Ice Shards before. I really didn't think it was a very good upgrade, just for the fact that I would rather freeze all the balloons than miss some balloons, just so I can do better against the balloons I do freeze, which seemed like the idea here, because if you're taking the top path, you're missing out on refreeze or enhanced freeze. You can't have both, and both of these are really important in my opinion, so I thought, seems kind of bad. But actually, Ice Shards is really good. It was really good in Battles 1 as well. I was so surprised when I learned that Ice was one of the best towers in Battles 1. It was mostly due to the stall that its ability provided, but hey, we still have that, just so you know. But also because Ice Shards could defend ridiculously large rushes, because the way it works is the damage exponentially increases with the size of the rush. In fact, I wish I was recording when this happened. I was having a game on the map with the wall in the middle. I forgot what it's called because it's not Another Brick, that's the BTD 6 version, but that map, I was having a game on there, and that's one of the best maps for Ice Tower because it's got those nice wide curves. And I had an Ice Tower at the exit on a nice curve. And I literally just had an Ice Tower with Ice Shards and Enhanced Freeze, Scientist Gwendolyn, and a Reactor Sub. That is all I had. And this guy sent me an all-out Regrow Rainbow Rush with a Balloon Boost. I didn't even boost, and I didn't buy a single tower, and I defended it all. That is how good Ice Shards is. That guy didn't realize how powerful Ice Shards is, because what happens is, for every balloon that gets popped inside the frozen ones, it shoots out Ice Shards, of course, to pop more balloons. But then if those hit another frozen balloon, that shoots out more Ice Shards, which then if it hits another frozen balloon, shoots out more Ice Shards. So that guy sent me a million Regrow Rainbows, but it didn't matter, because that just meant I got a million Ice Shards to pop them all. So, Ice Shards is very good at countering early game or early mid-game rushes. Again, the only issue is whites. So anyway, you can guess this video is mostly going to be about Ice Monkey, and yes, I am going to play some games. I just like to talk about the strategy of this. So, that's Ice Monkey. What if the other towers are going to run with this? Well, one of them is definitely going to be Sniper. As much as I am making this a unique strategy, it does need to be, trying to be serious, and I'm not memeing around. You need Sniper. Sniper is amazing late game. Supply drop is the best income you can get in the game. Main Moab is probably the best DDT counter in the game. I don't know, getting a single Dark Knight is probably better to counter like 1 or 2 DDTs, but to counter groups of DDTs, this is probably the best upgrade in the game for that. I guess Icicle Impale will be more strong, but that's also a lot more expensive, so yeah, this isn't a really effective upgrade. Sniper Monkey just doesn't really have many weaknesses at the moment, except just not being great in the early game, so as long as you pair it with a good early game tower, which by the way, Ice is amazing early game if you didn't know, up until Whites. Of course, Whites cause a bit of an issue, but round 1, 2, 3, 4, you can defend on most maps with those rounds with literally nothing but a 1-1 Ice, which is pretty cheap. You can just get 1-1-0. I mean, so just about under 1,000, which might sound like a lot, but that's taking all upgrade prices into account. You spend more on a Glaive Ricochet or something like that, or a Blade Shooter. You got your good early game and you got your good late game. So what's the last piece? Well, the last tower can vary. You see, the one I think that in theory will be the strongest is Monkey Sub. But when I've been playing this strategy, and I played it a lot before I felt comfortable recording this video, that is the roughest loadout for the early game you can run. Because essentially, if you run Monkey Sub, when whites come, you have to be prepared to either have a Bloomtonium reactor up to deal with the whites, or you need to be able to be prepared to sell your ice towers for a Bloomtonium reactor and then buy your ice towers back later. And that might not sound so bad, but my god, I literally, when I first switched this strategy, I just lost 5 games in a row because it was so brutal trying to get past round 5. Eventually, I learned how to do it, and I started winning a lot more games with that strategy, but when I first switched to it, it was a nasty shock, because, yeah, if you don't remember, Space Whites is already, the most efficient income send in the game. It's not the best if you want to get your income up as fast as possible. That would obviously be something like yellows or group pinks. But if you want to spend the least money to get the most income boost, then Space Whites is already your go-to. And then on top of that, you get them on round 5. So on round 5, you have to deal with Spaced White rushes, and even when your opponent rushes you with them, they're not even losing money. They're actually gaining money for doing it too. It's so nasty having to deal with that in the early game. But again, as long as you're prepared, as long as you get your Plutonium reactor up in time, as long as you don't be too greedy, it's fine. In fact, one thing I would recommend is, usually I'm the kind of guy to try and get their hero down in the first 3 rounds of the game just about every time. But with this strategy, I probably wouldn't drop down your hero until you have a Bloomtonium reactor. because, wow, it's really sketchy if you do have your hero. I think that was the biggest mistake I was making before when I couldn't get it done. Again, you can make it by selling ice towers, but what I found people would do is the second I sold my ice tower, they'd send me like a regrow Zebra Rush, and because the plutonium reactor would pop him down most of the way but then not finish the job, they'd regrow out of control and I'd die, and I wouldn't have enough time to react. And then even if I did have enough time to react, obviously I can't exactly drop down an ice tower to deal with regrow zebras, and then as well as that, the only other tower I have to deal with it is sniper, which isn't great against groups of balloons. So yeah, again, really rough trying that strategy, but if you can get used to getting through the early game with that strategy, that might be the best version, because plutonium reactor with ice shards is crazy powerful. Anything that gets frozen will not only instantly die basically, but also explode into hundreds of ice shards that hit every balloon it misses. But then on top of that, if you can get enough XP to unlock first strike, that's obviously going to be some really powerful late game that's going to allow you to just delete zongs and deal massive damage to bads. So yeah, the monkey sub is a good suggestion. The mortar is what I'm going to be using today. I wasn't sure, I was thinking maybe I'll use a mix, but I think I should use the mortar today, because the mortar seems to be one of the least used towers in the game as well, and you know, I want to make this strategy as interesting to watch as possible, so mortar it is, because you won't have seen much mortar around. I'm really trying to get artillery battery unlocked. Mortar, I have similar thoughts onto ice, although I have more faith in ice than I do in mortar. It seems bad now, but I think a lot of that comes down to mortar isn't going to be good until people start unlocking the biggest one, artillery battery, and shattering shells. I think these three upgrades are really good, and in fact also pop and ore, although I'm not sure if this is going to be too expensive. 30,000? You probably could afford that, but it's a little bit high. In fact, even the big one's probably like quite a good upgrade in this game, so that one I guess you could also include. But again, same problem with ice, they're all like 4th or 5th tier. These first few upgrades you don't really care about much. They're just grouped balloon damage, which you can get better, like, you know, again, you'd probably rather have a more glaives, or, no, anyway, so for that reason, I think that, these first, like, 9 upgrades are pretty bad. The only thing that maybe you'd use is Signal Flare, but even then, there's better decamo in the game. Signal Flare isn't that reliable, so yeah. Artillery battery, though, I have a lot of faith in to be good, because, well, I was just pleasantly surprised when I used it in BTD 6. It's been changed quite a few times, and the last time I used it, it was way better than I had remembered. It just deletes hordes of ceramics, even fortified ceramics, as long as you obviously place it on a decent spot. It never seems to run out of damage to share between an infinite amount of ceramics, so it makes ceramics a lot less scary to deal with. Mostly the ones that come out of Moabs, but then as well as that, it's actually good Moab damage if you, wait, I've forgotten, is it? Yeah. It's actually, this upgrade is actually good at Moab damage as well, under a certain condition. If the Moabs are stunned, it is actually good Moab damage. Surprisingly good Moab damage. Now, to be fair, there's not many ways you can stun Moabs, but we are running one, Main Moab. Main Moab with artillery battery is going to be a great way to deal with, like, zongs and just generally big balloons, because I know for sure, especially when you use the pop and ore ability, you get it up to 5th tier, it's surprising how much this can just melt groups and groups of Moabs. Again, it's expensive is the only reason why I've not got as much confidence in it as ice. It is a lot of money to put into a tower that does have a surprisingly rough early game. I thought that Mortar would have a good early game, but it kind of does, but it's just a little bit rough. Like, it can hit lots of balloons per shot, which is good against the group balloons, but it's so bad against space balloons, and then on top of that, it misses quite often, and the best crosspath is usually 2-2-0, so you can't get increased accuracy. And thingy, as well as that, if you do move your target, it's delayed because of the, it's an online game. And I've lost a couple games because I've moved my mortar in time to defend something, but then there's just been a delay and it just doesn't fire where I pointed it, and oh, I'm dead now by the time it does. But yeah, as I say, the biggest one is already one of the best, like, cheap, powerful 5th tiers in the game. Artillery battery, I think, is extremely high damage for the price, and also gives you an ability which is going to be nice in a pinch for when you get rushed. And Shattering Shells, I didn't even mention Shattering Shells. You can probably guess why this is good. I mean, instantly removing fortification from anything, including DDTs. I think that is probably the one you'd be most concerned about. That is some powerful stuff right there. You might say, oh yeah, but it doesn't work against the bad. But first of all, well, it's certainly good to be able to destroy bads. I feel like most games you shouldn't let it go to a bad. So that's my first point, is that don't even let it go to bads if you can help it. But second point, yes, it can't defortify the bad, but it can defortify all its insides. So you can still defortify the DDT and the 3 ZOMGs inside the bad, which I think is still well worth it. And again, this is only 11,000. I mean, 11,000 is a decent amount, but 11,000 to halve the health of even the most gigantic balloons in the game in one shot? I don't know, man. I think that's pretty fair. So I think, again, the Mortar does have potential. Maybe not as much as Ice, but I think the Mortar still has potential. It's just we're going to take a while before we can unlock these good upgrades. So yeah, also I will mention Dartling Gunner. Yes, if you want to play this strategy probably the most objectively powerful way, you should probably just run Hydra Rocket Pods and with Dartling Gunner. The only reason I'm not doing this is because that really makes the strategy more about the Dartling Gunner than the Ice Tower, because the Dartling Gunner is better early game than the Ice Tower. You might be like, why even use the Ice Tower then? Again, I need XP for it. I think the Ice Tower is going to be a lot better in the late game than the Dartling Gunner once I have all its upgrades unlocked, but it's just going to take a while. And lastly, because, to be fair, the Dartling Gunner is almost certainly going to be nerfed, and once this Dartling Gunner strategy is no longer as stupidly powerful in the early game, Ice Towers might become the better option in the early game. But yeah, also be a bit wary if you're going to try and mix Ice Towers and Dartlings, because obviously the Dartling can't pop frozen balloons until it gets the Hydro Rocket Pods. I thought Laser Shock would let it pop frozen balloons, but no, you have to get Laser Cannon before you can pop frozen balloons. So you can't even pop frozen balloons with Laser Shock, which I think that's... Come on, Ninja Kiwi, why? Just let it. Anyway, probably not going to happen. In case you weren't aware, just a quick double check with you guys. Hydro Rocket Pods is broken. It's not just like, oh, it's a good tower. Like, I'm pretty sure it's bugged in some way. Like, we don't have definitive proof. Yeah, this is definitely a bug, but it with Laser Shock is dealing way more damage than I've ever seen it deal. All I'm going to say is I've used this tower before with Laser Shock, and it never dealt anywhere near this amount of damage. I remember I always used it with powerful darts to increase its PS, so you got more explosions. They definitely did something with Laser Shock. It's either been buffed in some way, unintentionally perhaps, or it's a glitch. But if you don't ever rush a Hydro Rocket Pods, actually just don't. Unless it's with a Moab or something bigger than a Moab, do not rush Hydro Rocket Pods. You could literally send them off, like, packed together, massive group of regrow fortified camo, like, ceramics, would probably destroy them all, one Hydro Rocket Pods, as long as it's in a half-decent spot. So, yeah, don't rush Hydro Rocket Pods. Just a PSA there. I mean, I was thinking, oh, I don't need to say that, everyone knows that, but I have been playing some people every now and then who, like, they'll just send me a grouped regrow purple rush when I have a Hydro Rocket Pods up, and it's not like I just bought it, like, I've had it for a bit, and it's like, what are you doing? No, that's not how you play the video game. So anyway, what about the hero? Well, you might be infuriated to see that I don't even own Striker Jones yet, but I already have Scientist Gwendolyn. Look, I'm not that interested in Striker Jones, okay? It's ironic because I'm interested in mortars, but I don't know. I'm not interested in bomb towers, and that's the main thing Striker Jones is focused on synergizing with. I am saving up for him, as you can see, but yes. Actually, it kind of depends if I can get Ocean Oben first, because I do want Ocean Oben more. Anyway, I'm running Scientist Gwendolyn with this strategy. You can run Oben, that's fine. You can run normal Gwendolyn, that's fine. You can probably run Striker Jones and that'd be fine. But I think Scientist Gwendolyn is the best because, well, if you didn't realize, these alternate skins for the heroes, they're not just skins anymore. In Bloons Tower Defense Battles 2, they're actually different, even though they aren't in BTD 6. It's weird. I'm kind of surprised they didn't make this more clear. So that's why they have their own different slots. So the differences are quite minor. I'm going to go through what I've heard they are so far. Alright, so what are the differences? Well, Quincy has Cyber Quincy, and from going from Quincy to Cyber Quincy, the level 3 ability will increase Pierce instead of attack speed. As well as that, there's the Explosive Arrows, which for Quincy deal explosive damage, but for Cyber Quincy deal plasma damage. That's only a small difference. It essentially means that Cyber Quincy's explosive arrows can pop black balloons when Quincy's can't, but Cyber Quincy's can't pop purples when obviously normal Quincy's can. I've also think, if I remember right, that Cyber Quincy, their level 10 ability deals more damage but in a smaller area, but that one I'm not quite as sure on because I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. As for Gwendolyn, there's Scientist Gwendolyn. This is the one we're going to be using, and this one's a weird one. Scientist Gwendolyn is probably the one where the difference is hardest to notice. I really couldn't figure out what was different with Scientist Gwendolyn. The most noticeable difference is that Scientist Gwendolyn's cocktail doesn't last as long, but it does deal more damage. But the other detail that's different about her, and that makes me feel a lot better about not noticing because it's hard to notice, is essentially Gwen's Heat Up buff usually would only grant +1 Pierce, whereas Scientist Gwendolyn also grants Pierce and the ability to deal +1 damage to frozen and lead balloons. Only frozen and lead balloons. Obviously, the lead balloons is very niche, but the frozen balloons, if you obviously pair it with ice towers, is very strong, which is obviously why I'm running Scientist Gwendolyn with this high strategy. That being said, though, there is a problem, and I don't know if it's just with Scientist Gwendolyn, because I haven't used her enough yet. I'm 90% sure this is a bug, because considering this is a bug that only happens with ice towers that screws you over bad, and this tower is clearly meant to be used with ice towers if it synergizes with frozen balloons, I'm 90% sure this is a bug, and if it isn't a bug, screw you, Ninja Kiwi. So basically, when you throw Scientist Gwendolyn's cocktail, it might be the same with normal Gwendolyn too, but I haven't seen it happen with normal Gwendolyn yet. If it lands on top of a frozen balloon, you don't get any fire. I have lost multiple games because of that. It's so annoying. If the cocktail lands in front of a frozen balloon, and then like a balloon that later gets frozen ends up on top of the fire, the game seems to recognize, oh, this is fire, that can pop frozen balloons. But for some reason, when the cocktail like directly lands on top of a frozen balloon, it seems to think it's a purple balloon and destroys the fire. That really sucks, and you're going to have to be really careful for that bug. But if you can be careful about it, and if you can be prepared to use your boosts instead of using your Gwendolyn cocktails, you can still survive the early game. But man, does that glitch make this strategy even more rough when it already sucks having to deal with spaced whites on round 5. Anyway, Striker Jones also gets Biker Bones. Biker Bones is quite a bit different in that, if I remember right, their level 3 ability does more damage but has less stun. But more importantly, Striker Jones' level 10 ability is a bit interesting. Normal Striker Jones will instantly refresh all abilities of bomb towers and mortars, no matter what their cooldown was before, so you can use them again instantly. Once you get to level 20, it also gives the ability to grant those towers double damage. Now that is extremely powerful, the only problem is that you require level 20 for that, and it takes a long time to get there. Biker Bones, on the other hand, doesn't refresh the abilities, but starts with the double damage at level 10. And when you get to level 20, it goes to triple damage. That's at least what I've heard. And if that is true, that sounds really good. Really good. That double damage was definitely like one of the best things about Striker Jones. So Biker Bones might be a very powerful ult. Now, the only one that hadn't been mentioned by a dev was Oben. I'm pretty sure that dev didn't mention anything about Oben. So Ocean Oben, luckily, if I remember right, almost all of his differences are things you can just see anyway. He's actually one of the easiest ones to notice that it's different. Ocean Oben has a few differences. First of all, his totem does not slow balloons, instead it distracts them, as in it has like the ninja effect where it goes backwards along the track, but it doesn't apply it to every balloon. It's only a chance that it will happen to each balloon that passes him. From there, there's also the tentacles that he has, which is the replacement for Wall of Trees. And the Wall of Tentacles, there can be multiple of them, unlike the normal Wall of Trees. And as well as that, each one is weaker to compensate. The third difference is the only one I'm a bit iffy on, because I've seen those first two differences in action. But this difference, I can't just look at it and be like, yeah, that's happening. But I've heard that Ocean Oben has quite a powerful buff. You see, one of the best buffs that Oben has is at level 11, where all magic monkeys in his range get +5 range and +2 PS. And druids get an extra +1, which is kind of insignificant, but still. That is really powerful. Being able to give any magic tower just +2 PS just for being in Oben's range. Like, to put that in perspective, like, you can essentially like double the damage output of like a base super monkey with that, or triple it. I don't remember. Is it just 1 pierce that a base super monkey has? It'll be triple if it's 1 pierce. So yeah, that's quite powerful. And you can apply the same to ninjas, like balloon jitsus. Whenever you got something that doesn't have much pierce but shoots multiple shots, this is extremely powerful. And again, you can apply this to any magic monkey. So this is already one of my go-to things, like for chimps. If I'm beating a map on chimps in BTD 6, I would often go Oben because he's cheap to place in the beginning, and in the late game, he gives me this massively significant buff that is especially powerful with like Alk Ninja. But for Ocean Oben, it's even better. I've heard that Ocean Oben grants +3 pierce instead of +2, which, wow, that is really good if he does. But again, I can't confirm that one. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that because a lot of people do not know there's a difference. And I might not have all these correct. Sadly, it doesn't say on the wiki yet what the exact differences is. At least the last time I checked. I don't know, maybe it does by the time you're watching this video. Anyway, I know I'm rambling on a bit, but I really wanted to give you the full kind of preamble for this strategy. So, there it is. Scientist Gwendolyn, Ice Tower, Mortar, Sniper. As you can see, I'm at Ceramic Crucible. It's kind of annoying. I've been at 59 and 58 trophies before, and it just feels like every single time I'm about to get into Moab Pit, I just think, oh, let me try out this new, different strategy. No. Yes. Seems like all of my good games have been on docks so far, even though In the Wall is probably a better map for this strategy. I'm actually going to try the ice here now. Or is he not going to send anything? If he's not going to send anything, I might just... Oh, no. Yeah, there they are. Considering Gwen has not actually mattered that much so far in most of these games, I think I might wait later to put her down this time. Especially because I don't really know what this guy's doing. He might be able to rush me more, like, strongly than I think, because I don't know what strategy runs Striker and Boomerang, unless it's just a normal Boomerang strategy that just so happens to run Striker to earn XP for him. I guess Striker's probably better against group balloons in the early game, and Boomerang isn't until you get Glaive Ricochet. It's down to like lights. It's fine, Okay, and save money with pinks. Oh, he just got Glaive Ricochet up. If I got these out a little earlier, I might have been able to use this as an actual way to maybe get some lives on him. But with Glaive Ricochet, nah. Even without Red Hot Rangs, that's still too good. Right, well, we've already got Balloon Buster up, so I guess I can go proper eco for a bit. Can it switch over to the next round, or I suppose it won't because there's still those greens on screen, but still.
I've made some minor modifications.
Kind of surprised this guy isn't sending me. Oh, you know, he's still got pinks left over from last round. That's why. He's gonna probably send me whites very soon. I see that one getting out. Yeah, there we go. That's strong. Right, round 6. Now blacks are a problem, so get this. Although he really doesn't seem to be sending at me. He's going snipers and boomerangs. Do I just... Am I fine with just making this my ice shards? I think so. Wait, no, it's round 7, so before I do that, switch to yellows just to get eco up. I'm guessing he was just using that ability for fun, because I'm pretty sure that Glaive Ricochet can deal with an infinite amount of yellows. Could I potentially regrow Russian? Maybe. I don't think it's worth going all in with it is the problem. I'll just say that I thought that of it as an option, but I don't think I am going to regrow rush him just because he's placed his glaive ricochet right here, he's placed his striker right there. This is the only place where they'll really get space to regrow. That could be enough, but I think I'd have to go all in, and I don't think I want to go all in with it. I think that because round 12 is approaching and I have to have camo defense ready for that, I think that I need to just... Oh, I'm on group twice now. Oh, that leaked. Oh wait, oh, something leaked before anyway. Oh, that's fine then. Right, okay, let me just switch to not blues, reds for a moment, so I can save money. Actually, I shouldn't have gone the amount where it's going to take another income boost. Wait, why are you... I don't know why the ice tower isn't actually firing in the first place. That'd be nice if you did that. Good. That went worse than it should have. I should have been able to do all that better than I did, but whatever. It's under control at least, is the point. I'm fine with getting, having to deal with... In fact, you know what? I'm going for Bernie stuff this time, because I don't need Balloon Buster anymore, because I'm fine with pinks now, and even if I wasn't, if he sends zebras, those will pop into pinks, so yeah. I'll probably get heavy shells again though still, just because I'm worried about... you know what, no, I need to be getting my supply drop up now. To be fair, he needs to as well, and he's not doing it, so I should still be fine. I shouldn't get punished for this, but I really should have been going for supply drop earlier than this. First time I'm using Bernie stuff in this game. I've heard it's actually decent in this game. I know it was really good in Battles 1, but, you know, in BTD 6, Bernie stuff was a bit underwhelming. I'm always a little bit torn on whether I should eco at the same time as getting supply drops up. Because, like, I feel like I should. The problem is that there's nothing good to send. Wait, do I just send this guy a Moab? I'm not going to try and kill him with this, but, like, he doesn't have Moab defense right now. Like, he really doesn't. Like, he can stun it with Striker for a moment, but, like, what does he do then? Oh, he just got a supply drop too, so he doesn't have money. Okay, now he has money. Okay, do I just, like, boost this and win? Nah, he left it late. He was playing it sketchy, but he didn't let it kill him. I will admit, I'll give him an applause. For a second there, I thought he was just being dumb, and that, like, he knew he could defend that, but he just was being so greedy that he let it go for a bit too long. But no, he seemed to be very, very aware of how long he can leave it before it will kill him. Unless, again, he just got lucky. That's also a possibility. So I'm technically also kind of vulnerable to mobs. In fact, I'll stop sending eco right now. I'll get all of these to Full Metal Jacket just because, again, it's cheap and it's powerful. But most importantly, let's get some Deadly Precision. Okay, so, like, he's fighting against a mob, but, like, do I want to send a Zong? I mean, I should have had the money ready to do it right now, to be fair. If I wanted to do that, but, like... I just feel like he really doesn't have a Zong defense. Unless he... Well, oh no, he's got the main mob. Never mind, what am I on about? Didn't see the main mob in the corner. I was about to say, like... unless he gets a main Moab. Oh, yeah, he's got one. That would make sense. That would explain a decent amount. So, what beats this guy? Possibly just enough DDTs. So, I think I'm gonna wait until group DDTs and send him just a whole bunch of tightly packed grouped fortified DDT. Bro, I cannot fit that. Are you serious? Okay, okay. Let's see how it is. Got a little protective layer here. I was holding down the 2 to do that ability. I was wondering if that would do it. The second it's ready, it doesn't. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. I can... Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm kind of surprised this guy hasn't sent me DDTs. I guess he thinks we're both going to Bads. I suppose he... Oh, he does have 4 main mobs. That is a lot. Okay, I'm not going to send now. I am going to wait until I have, like... Oh, but then I don't want it to get to round 30. No, wait. Bads are way slower than DDTs. What am I on about? It's fine if it gets to round 30. Gets round... Actually, just for the surprise factor, I'll send on round 29. I have to win with this. Yes. Yeah. If you just got enough of them, main Mard can't deal. You just need a lot of them. A lot of them. Yes, yes. I like basalt columns. Oh, okay, luckily that guy skipped it for me. I was gonna say, I like basalt columns, but I can't use it with this strategy. Oh. Is this map decent with this strat? I have barely played this map with this strategy. I think it's going to be quite middling. If I would play it safe, I could just swap out the Mortar for a Dartling gunner, but again, I think that'd be a bit of a boring video. You'd see more Dartling gunner gameplay than ice. It occurs for your ice tower. Whereas the other one that's really good is Sands of Time, because, well, you know, that centerpiece. You can just spam all your ice towers there, and they'll crash balloons as they enter and as they exit. But you can see this ice tower just destroys every balloon that comes close to it at the start, even though we haven't even upgraded it. It looks a little bit sketchy, but don't worry, it will never miss. At least against reds. Oh, I didn't get the XP! Oh! If I was like a second quicker. We are mostly focused on eco for our income. We obviously do have the option to switch to supply drops, but this isn't a strategy where I recommend you try and greed out a supply drop early. This is more a strategy where I would say you should just go for supply drops and switch to them only once you have about 1,000 eco and you're comfortable with your defense. So one thing that is a little bit unfortunate with the Mortar is you kind of have to not actually place it at your ice tower, which would be the place you would most like to have it. But if you place it at your ice tower, then you're not going to deal with whites. By the time you blow them up, they'll already be exiting. So you need to be a bit more careful than that, and you need to place it before your ice so that it pops any whites before they get there. Now you may be wondering, wait, but what about zebras? They're black and white, so the Mortar can't pop them, and then the ice tower can't pop them. Well, this is one of the extra challenges of running this loadout, but luckily you do have heavy shells, which grants it the ability to pop black balloons. I'm trying to see where I can get... Can I get... Is it too greedy, or can I get it so that it gets this whole curve? Almost. Move that down just a little bit. Oh! Oh, yes! Okay, that is the spot. Right. I'm surprised this guy hasn't sent whites at me, but I guess I just got this up early enough. This is the first game I played where someone hasn't just sent whites at me straight away. Literally, okay. I almost feel a little bit bad complaining about this, because I understand they just have to play the video game. I mean, they lose trophies if they lose and all that. But, like, seriously, why is it that people are so aggressive against me with this strategy? Like, I get that it works, and I get that it wins in the game, but wow. I thought that at least some people would cut me some slack just because they see ice. It's like, oh, cool, they're using ice, just because no one uses ice. And everyone seems to... I thought people might think that was kind of cool, and some people would not just let me win, obviously, but like they might just be a little bit nicer and not try to rush me right out of the gate. No!
literally playing this strategy, people have been more brutal to me than ever. Literally everyone I come across is just instantly like spams whites, bloom boosts on like round 5, sends everything they can at me, just doesn't even let me breathe, and it's like, whoa, okay, everyone turns into the most rush happy player in the entire game as soon as I start playing ice. But then if I switch to Dartling, well, I mean, it makes sense. Again, if I have Dartling, they can't do that, but oh boy. Bit of a nasty shock was all. As much as I want to get back to... I feel like I got a lot of money. I guess it's because this guy just isn't rushing me. It's weird. I'm not even kidding. I've played this strategy like... I played about 20 games of this strategy. This is the first guy I've run into who's not rushed me early game. It's actually thrown me off, because like, I think it's a good thing overall, but at the same time, I'm so used to getting rushed early game that now it's thrown me off. I'm like, what do I do? I'm supposed to be getting rushed right now. Yeah, that's the other thing. Canada decking is a little sketchy here because we don't have any decamo except embrittlement, which isn't reliable decamo. Although it's pretty reliable. It depends how good your spot is, but it's not perfect. But yes, bouncing bullet is your salvation here. And I know you may be like, oh, but that seems really sketchy. It kind of is. It's kind of sketchy. Why? I feel like the rainbows aren't going to be very good here for you. Like, is that going to get through? No, it's not. I didn't even have to boost. Oh, whoa! Oh, was there something layered under there? Because that was just a wall of yellows. Everything else popped quite easily. Like, is that going to get through? Please don't skip. No! Oh. Hey, it went from the second best map with this strategy to the best map with this strategy. I'll take it.
My calculations predict victory!
Storm seas ahead. Storm seas ahead. Storm seas ahead.
I think this guy's mad that I skipped to this map.
Storm seas ahead.
That was very
Unleash the
flammable.
Kraken.
Well, that took a while. In fact, let me start overlapping right now. Overlap, I think, will work, actually. Yeah, overlap's gonna work. Just gonna get this for XP. No, no, Jesus Christ, Mayan is the most awful map in this game. Garden isn't much better. Those are like probably my bottom 2 maps. This would be fine if I could just mortar micro, but you can't because of lag. It just doesn't do it.
My calculations predict
At least this map is a decent map for ice. A reminder, guys, that as absolutely awful as this has been going so far, if you just run Dartling, you don't have to deal with any of this shit. Just start with Dartling. At this point, I need to switch over to pink so I can save up for Balloon Buster. On the bright side, I think this is a map where we actually can get away without having to use Sniper as our solo camo defense. We can actually just use... we can probably get away with just one embrittlement here, and it'll probably decamo everything. Right, so I'm saving up money so that I could potentially buy ice shards if I need to. I don't think I'm going to need to, though. And what I'm going to do is when round 7 comes along, I'm going to switch to full yellows if I don't need to. I'm surprised this guy really isn't sending more at me. Guess I'm going full yellows to get my eco up. Okay, he's got reactor up. Actually, there maybe I'm not super Brailleman. Maybe I should have done that a bit sooner. I know 11's really short. No, I just barely got away with that, but that was fine. Not gonna miss any there, am I? It's sketchy, but I don't. Okay, good. I just realised, what about on this set? Well, it is one green. Oh yeah, they might not even realise that this gives camo detection. They might start sending me camos. That'd be kind of funny. Because there are some people who don't understand how ice works. Okay, I think this is the point where we start getting our sniper up. Get to 1-250 eco. And then we'll just start going straight for supply drop. I feel like this guy might not be very good against Surround. Well, actually, that is a very wide cone on that sub. Yeah, it's probably good against Surround. Fortified ceramics, maybe not. But by that point, just send him a Moab. Ah, they got the up-driving time. Yeah, okay. They'll be fine. I'm not sure where this game ends, because I don't know what this guy's game plan is. Like, from here, do you just spam overdrives? Because if that's the case, then I think I'm happy just send him a DDT at him. But then, like, I feel like that can't be his plan, because he probably realised how weak that is. Does Tact Zone still pop lead in BTD Battles 2? If it still pops lead, that's stupid. But, no, he probably has something in mind for DDT. He wouldn't be taking me this late otherwise. I just don't know what I want to send at him. Like, a Zong is usually what I'd go to here. And that's why I'm worried, because like, I might have to stop ecoing soon. So he's going for Spike Pride. I feel like DDTs, he shouldn't be good against them. He might think that he can get away with it with just Spike Balls. And I don't think he can. Unless, oh, is he going for Moab Shredder? I don't recognise if that's Moab Shredder or not. And now that we are getting to the 20s, I probably should have a better Moab defense. So, oh, that's the wrong button. I feel like he's just not good against the fortified DMG. I might just send him one and then like wait to see what he does. Like, he's got to do something. He has to do something, and I don't mind that it hits my ego. And I would go all in here usually, but like I feel like he has something up his sleeve, and I'm gonna see what it is by doing this, and then see if I can counter it later. This should also help clear all these spikes, so if I want to send DDTs later, they'll get further. Okay, is it a first strike? Oh no, it's a triple guns. Is that a sub-commander? That isn't a sub-commander, it's just armor-piercing darts, right? No, yeah, I think that is just armor-piercing darts. I think there's like some gold on the something of the sub-commander. So... You know what, that doesn't seem to be doing very much damage, so I'm fine doing this. It's a bit all-in, but... Okay, so he's spending money. Oh boy. Okay, yeah, that's a lot of damage. That's a lot of damage. Oh! Is it enough, though? I don't know if it's enough. It's close. Oh! I thought he was actually going to defend for a second there. I wasn't panicking, because I feel like, since I still have all that eco from the snipers, I feel like I was still good to kill my DDTs later. But,
JJ!